And right here tonight on the night team, healthcare for children in Kentuckiana getting a huge new focus. Hello, everybody, and thank you very much for staying up a little bit late with us tonight. I'm Doug Proffitt. Norton Healthcare is going to be building a giant 150-acre hospital campus in eastern Jefferson County off Blankenbaker Parkway and I-64. It comes just a year after the grand opening of their trailblazing Norton West Louisville Hospital. WHAS11 night team's Jose Alonso and photojournalist Levi Hammer tell us how this will change pediatrics in Kentucky.
If the large hot air balloon in the middle of a cleared out field in East Louisville doesn't give it away, then maybe it was the anticipation for the big announcement given by the CEO of Norton Healthcare, Russ Cox.
Today, I'm proud to officially announce the development of a second dedicated pediatric hospital to be built on this very field where we sit and stand. This hospital is going to be a full-service facility that will include an emergency department, surgical suites, diagnostics, and subspecialty care.
This is the field where Louisville's second pediatric hospital will sit across an entire medical campus, spanning over 150 acres of land. And what will soon just be an ambulance sitting there lonesome in this field will transform into an entire complex families will flock to for children's health care in Kentucky.
While we're fortunate to have this care close to home, many Kentucky families face the added burden of traveling hours away.
The Newcomb family sharing the story of their daughter, Lily, and her procedure at Norton Children's downtown location.
You know, when we faced Lily's diagnosis with a congenital heart defect, a hole in her heart, and they told us that she needed open heart surgery, we started to ask a lot of questions. Do we need to go to Cincinnati? Do we need to go to Boston? Do we need to go to Tennessee? And one of the things that we kept hearing was how amazing and world-class and number one the care was here, right here in Louisville at Norton Children's Hospital.
Cox acknowledges the competition in children's care in other nearby cities.
The better we can be in the region that doesn't force people to go so far away and incur all of that expense, the better off we all are.
Even a neurosurgeon from Boston Children's Hospital, who now works with Norton, says this will be a great investment.
Expanded OR space, expanded technology, and just more room for the families in the hospital.
Although a groundbreaking and official name are still in the works, there's already clear signs of progress being made. In Jeffersontown, Jose Alonso, WHAS 11 Night Team, on your side.
Norton officials say those renderings you just saw in our report could change after they get feedback from the public. They are inviting you to attend their Follow the Balloon campaign, as they're calling it. Norton leaders will travel all across Kentuckiana with that hot air balloon to hear what families want on the campus and what name you feel would be appropriate for the new children's hospital. Right here, new tonight, we're learning more about protests scheduled across the nation coming up this weekend that coincide with Saturday's presidential military parade in Washington, D.C. More than 1,500 demonstrations known as No Kings Day are now planned across the country, including right here in Louisville, New Albany, Shelbyville, and many other towns. The parade in Washington has hundreds of tanks and armored vehicles lining the streets of the nation's capital. Officials insist the parade is solely to mark the Army's birthday, but the timing is hard to ignore. Saturday is also President Donald Trump's 79th birthday. Trump is warning anyone thinking about protesting the parade.
And if there's any protester who wants to come out, they will be met with very big force.
Donald Trump is a bully. And this is, and a lot of times what bullies do and what authoritarians do is they create fear because they are hopeful that in the language that they use, they want in the language that they use to basically bully you into submission, into basically being silent.
The No Kings Day protests will include all 50 states, including several demonstrations right here in Kentuckiana. Louisville's is Saturday from noon to 4, downtown outside Metro Hall. Louisville Metro Police said they'll be ready for any planned protests, and they have updated how they actually respond to protests since the 2020 protests over Breonna Taylor.
You know, getting in front of and talking to some of the organizers has also been beneficial. We didn't necessarily have that type of connection with a lot of people within the community back in 2020. So building those relationships over the past 5 years has also been instrumental in getting ahead and making sure that we have an appropriate response.
And Metro Police today said they've also updated their use of force policies and training. And they have had more training with their special response team for civil disturbances. They say the team has been trained with different scenarios and tabletop exercises to be ready for any potential events. Meantime, the protests continuing in the streets of Los Angeles. The mayor there describing the number of arrests last night as minor, but the overnight curfew is once again in place tonight. Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass implementing the curfew after several days of violent clashes overnight in the city's downtown. It comes as President Trump continues his expansion of military force to stop the protest. Here's ABC's Alex Stone.
For a sixth night, protesters yelling at National Guard troops protecting a federal building in downtown LA. On Tuesday night, there were over 200 arrests made by police, many for ignoring orders to leave. And it's not only in Los Angeles. Anger over immigration raids have sent protesters into the streets in New York. On Wednesday night, police detained some. And in Baltimore and Chicago, where a car drove through a group of protesters, 17 were arrested. In Boston, hundreds rallied outside of the State House. In Nebraska, dozens arrested in the state's largest raid yet at a meat production plant.
Well, they just came in and said that it was a raid and we had to get everybody out of production.
And back in California, these new images of ICE agents chasing workers through strawberry fields. Outside the federal building in LA. A moment ago, a convoy of federal vehicles came in here and this crowd began to come around that convoy. Then federal police came out with pepper ball guns, keeping them back. Not far away, new surveillance video appearing to show federal agents boxing in this car, reportedly using tear gas on a passenger and detaining the driver, leaving a toddler, an infant, and their mother behind.
This is the canister from the tear gas that they threw at her.
The Department of Homeland Security saying in a statement the suspect was wanted for punching an agent. On Wednesday, 30 Southern California mayors came together pleading for the situation to calm. Arturo Flores, a mayor of Huntington Park and a combat veteran, with a message to the military.
Whether they have a document or they don't, you're dealing with Americans. So please remember that.
For a second night, an 8 p.m. to 6 a.m. curfew is in place and off-ramps into downtown LA are closed with the goal of putting a stop to the violence. Alex Stone, ABC News, Los Angeles.
Here at home, Kentucky Governor Andy Beshear has signed a letter along with other Democratic governors condemning the use of the National Guard in Los Angeles. In the letter, the Democratic governors calling the move an alarming and abuse of power. Meantime, Republican Kentucky Attorney General Russell Coleman has signed onto a letter with other state attorneys general praising the move. Coleman joined Indiana's Todd Rokita and 18 other Republican attorneys general. They claim California wasn't doing enough to cut the violence, and that forced the federal government to step in. Well, today, Governor Andy Beshear criticizing President Donald Trump's comments over phasing out the Federal Emergency Management Agency after hurricane season, saying it would blow a hole in the Kentucky budget. But some flood survivors believe less federal control could actually lead to faster response times. However, the governor disagrees, saying it's because of the regulations that have been put into place.
You literally don't have an advocate to say, hey, here's my problem. You have individuals that work at a disaster center that really don't want to be there, you kind of feel like. You know, like you're interrupted their day because they were playing on their phone, they were taking a nap. I've seen that. I think the state can handle it better.
It's not who controls it, it's the amount of federal laws and regulations that have been put in place. Now, if they want to give us a block grant and remove those regulations, yeah, we can do it for less and we can do it faster, but that's not what Congress is looking to do.
Governor talking to our Ian Hardwick there today. Today, FEMA said they've given out over $70 million to Kentucky households so far. This is the combined total between February flooding, April floods, and the severe May tornadoes. Beshear said FEMA's hazard mitigation program, which would buy out people's flood-prone homes, is still waiting for Donald Trump's approval. Right here tonight, a Kentucky lawmaker from Louisville under an ethics investigation by the state for his alleged sexual harassment of women, speaking for the very first time today in an interview with WHAS11 News. State Representative Daniel Gberg telling us today he's being retaliated against for his actions and political views.
The whole process thus far has been weaponized against me.
The investigation was opened after multiple women accused Gberg of sexual harassment. Gberg was handed an agreement by the Kentucky Legislative Ethics Commission. If signed, the commission would issue a public reprimand, a civil penalty fine of $4,000, and require Gberg to get mental health treatment for diagnosis and any potential alcohol abuse issues. Gberg telling us he's not going to sign that plan.
They have repeatedly told us that they found 40 of the allegations to be completely baseless, frivolous, and malicious, but rather than putting that in writing, they're only willing to say that they were not able to find any evidence to substantiate it. Even though both of these incidents factually happened, they're described deliberately vaguely and painted in a false light that I don't want to be weaponized against me.
Gberg said he is looking toward a meeting next Tuesday where evidence is presented to the board, and if they decide, they want to have a formal hearing on the claims. Meantime, both Kentucky Governor Andy Beshear and the state Democratic Party have demanded that Gberg resign from office.